It's not a flex, I promise. I'm just here to share and be transparent about the money I've made over the past handful of years and what it's looked like, how we've saved it and invested it. And over the past year and a half, I've graciously kind of taken on the nickname YouTube Dad. I made a joke about it and it just kind of stuck. I'm not just a real dad, I'm also your YouTube dad. However goofy that name is and how funny that is, there is some sincerity behind that. I am a dad in real life. Put it in your mouth.
Dad, I can't. Dad.
But I do kind of want to fill in the gaps for some of you young entrepreneurs, young creatives, young business owners who are looking to manage your finances, to make more money and to save your money well and invest it well for your future. And that's ultimately why I want to make a video like this. It's not some dumb flex where I'm like standing in front of a Lamborghini. You'll find out later in this video, my car is the farthest thing from a Lamborghini. I know a lot of my following is the creative type, photographers, filmmakers, and freelancers, but I also hope that this video is applicable to any freelancer or any kind of entrepreneur. Let me first define what net worth means if you're unaware of the word. Now, the definition of net worth is your assets, what you own, minus your liabilities or debts, which is what you owe. What you own minus what you owe. Example of assets might be cash or a car that you own, or your gear or business inventory, maybe a home property that you have, Pokemon cards, or your retirement investments or stocks. Some examples of liabilities or debts might be student loans, car payment, credit card debt, which is the worst one, Chipotle that Mike paid for yesterday, or a mortgage on your house. All those are debt. Now that we have a clear definition of what assets and liabilities are, I want to give you a little bit of an insight of what our biggest assets are as a family, and then talk about liability that we have as well to determine our net worth. So I've been growing my wedding photography and filmmaking business over the course of the last 9 to 10 years, and it's only been the last 3 to 4 years that I have netted over $100,000 per year, with last year being around $150,000. Now this year's been a bit slower with the pandemic, with Bill Gates trying to insert chips into, I'm just kidding. Our number one asset is our condo and our beautiful kitchen. I did some of the work in here, but all of this is my wife's handiwork. She's an interior designer. You might want to follow her at Nestled Home. We bought this condo for $260,000 back in spring of 2018. We saved for a 15% down payment, which is about $39,000. And because we put down less than 20% in the house, we had to pay something called PMI, private mortgage insurance, which everybody talks about being the big bad boogeyman. If you don't put 20% down in a house, you have to pay PMI. But ours is only about like $35 a month, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Other properties might vary. If you have a house, it might be more money, it might be more significant, but to us it was kind of insignificant. Now we're past 20% in the equity on this condo, so we don't have to pay the PMI anymore. We locked in a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 4.5%, and our monthly payment was just under $1,800 a month. During the first 2 years of paying down that loan, we actually made a handful of double payments to make sure that we were paying more money towards the principal and paying down the debt faster. I didn't realize this when we bought a mortgage, but there's something called an amortization schedule where you pay a minimal amount of principal and a lot of interest at the beginning. And over time, it kind of does this, where you pay more principal and less interest. I didn't realize that until I signed the papers and had to actually pay the monthly payment. So we were paying about $300 to $400 in principal and almost upwards of $1,000 in interest before taxes every month, which sucked. So that's why sometimes we did double payments to increase that amount of principal every month. We refinanced that mortgage in the spring of 2020, and refinance just means that we agreed to new terms on a different loan because interest rates dropped significantly. So we locked in a 15-year mortgage, promising to pay back the loan in 15 years instead of 30, and we locked in a rate of 2.625%. And our new monthly payment is now $1,757, almost $50 less per month with paying it in half the time. So it was kind of a no-brainer to refinance. Even though it costs $6,000, we can make up that difference within 10 months of paying monthly. Now, pending a reappraisal, meaning somebody comes into this place and evaluates how much it's worth, we can safely assume that it's worth about $305,000 now, which is $45,000 more than what we paid for it, considering the place next door sold this summer for $311,000. We still owe $197,000 on the loan, which means the difference of that is $108,000 of equity, approximately. And that's just above 35% equity in this property now, meaning we own about 35% of this place and the bank owns 65%. This is what I like to talk about at parties, just so you know. So I like sharing it with you, even though it might be the most dad thing you've ever heard. Technically, our biggest asset is also our biggest downfall because it's the only liability we have. We have no other debt in anything else except our mortgage, and we still owe $197,000 on the mortgage, so that puts us at negative $89,000 right out of the gate. But we still have plenty of other assets to make up for that, to put us into the green, into the positive. Number 2 is retirement savings and other investments. So we have a Roth IRA for both myself and my wife, and a SEP IRA for my business. 3 separate IRA accounts, individual retirement accounts. That's what that stands for. And all of those total to about $53,000. We've been contributing to those for about 4 or 5 years now, and that's what they're at. They're invested into the stock market, so they grow over time. And we use Northwestern Mutual to put all of our money into those. We also have life insurance with Northwestern Mutual, whole term life insurance, and this is something that's criticized by a lot of people. A lot of people want to just do the really cheap life insurance, but whole term life insurance is much more expensive, but again, it's an investment over time. So all of that money is being put into a life insurance policy in case one of us passes away. The family will be covered with a life insurance policy, but it's also invested into the market as well and makes money over time. This is interesting because now we have a little bit over $15,000 as a line of credit to ourselves with that account, so we can pull that money at any time and pay ourselves back as long as we replenish that $15,000 over time without any interest. So it's an interest-free loan to ourselves in case we want to buy a car or another down payment for another home, which is what we're probably going to use it for very soon. And then finally, we have Robinhood and TD Ameritrade accounts. I have money invested in Robinhood, the online stock trading app. Really fun to use and user-friendly, but kind of terrible for a lot of reasons. I've been investing in that app just in kind of low risk dividend yielding stocks over the past 3 to 4 years and made about $2,000 in there. And I put $1,000 into TD Ameritrade because my friend Daniel made a video about trading options, which I know nothing about, and I thought that would be a good idea, and I haven't touched it since. In total, out of all 3 of these sources, we have $76,600 roughly. That brings us from a negative $89,000 net worth to negative $12,400. I know there's a lot of people who might think that what I do with my money long term might be silly and that there's better ways to do it. I'm always open to you guys giving me advice on that as well. I don't want to just be the voice of saying you have to do this a certain way. I also love getting comments on these videos talking about how I could diversify it better, how I could invest it better. So if you have any advice, please give it down in the comments. I'm not an expert. I think I have to say that legally. Just be nice in those comments. Cool, thanks. Leave a comment, helps the algorithm. Thank you. Also smash like. That helps the algorithm too. Please, thank you. Number 3. Oh, this is where you do the slow motion?
The roll?
This is where you do the 60 frames in like slow-mo, or me walking through the sick garage. Now we're going through my whole collection of vehicles. First, we're gonna start with the Cadillac. So guys, this is my 1957 Cadillac, and it's a little bit dusty right now, needs a little bit of cleaning, but it's a huge piece of my I'm just kidding. It's mine. This is mine. The dad fam. You can hear it purr. Oh yeah. Baby. 120,000 miles. This is what's up. Mint.com says this thing is worth a little bit over $11,000, but I'm just gonna go ahead and make a safe assumption that it's like $9,000. It's got like a rust stain that goes all the way down the side here. See that? She's our baby. Not as good as my other car though. Let me go show you that. Mint.com says this bad boy is worth a little bit over $7,300, but we all know that ain't true. My Honda CR-V, 2009. Got some fine detailing on the hood. Let's just go ahead and say that it's worth $5,000. You wanna listen to it lock? Yep, that's what it sounds like when it locks. Based on conservative estimates of what each car is worth, we have about $14,000 of equity in cars, and that brings us from negative $14,000 to $1,600. Moving on to cash on hand and freeze it. Don't move to Chicago. Between our personal and business checking accounts, we have about $45,000 of cash right now, along with $1,625 between our kids' savings accounts, so birthday money, Christmas money, that kind of stuff, just sitting in accounts for them. We like to keep at least 3 to 6 months of savings. The amount we would spend in a month in case of emergency, our normal monthly budget, 3 to 6 times over. So if I lose work or I get injured and can't perform or do my job, we have enough money to kind of tide us over in those months. So the sum of that asset is $46,625, which brings us from $1,600 to $48,225 in net worth. And the final one, 5. Finally, the last group of assets that I have is my gear, my business tools that I use on the day-to-day for my jobs, for wedding photography, filmmaking, commercial work, all that good stuff. Computers, cameras, lenses, and all sorts of other audio knickknacks and other miscellaneous gear. So if you'd like to freeze the video on this frame to see what they all are and how much they all cost, you can, because I did a meticulous layout of all of it. The total of all that gear is $21,300 roughly. Those are all safe conservative estimates based on their resale value under what they probably would sell for. So that brings me from $48,225 to $69,525. If you want to not include what we owe on our mortgage still, we're looking at $266,525, all speculative. Really want to drive home, the point is that we are at $69,525, that number. I always want to assess my net worth as all of my assets minus my liabilities, because that's the truest form of net worth. That is the net worth that banks are going to look at if they want to lend to you for a mortgage or a loan, and that's what your truest net worth is. A lot of people might want to inflate that by not including their mortgage, not including their student debt because they don't think that's debt, although it actually is. And that's what I like to do for my life and for my business in all regards, is take the safest approach to money I possibly can so that I don't end up screwing myself later down the road with the debt that I have, and taking the safest road possible. So a couple actionable steps for you. You might look at me and say, I'm not even close to what that is, or I'm far past it, or whatever the case is. Spend less, live a simpler life so that you can make more money. And once you start increasing that gap, you can start paying down your debts if you have them. The car payments that you have, your credit cards, paying down your student loans. So that once those debts are gone, you can start investing in things like a Roth IRA or purchasing your own home, and start making strides in growing that net worth and growing that wealth for yourself and for your future to make more business decisions, more creative decisions for you in your life. I hope that this video was helpful for you in that capacity, whether it's just because you needed to hear how you invest the money that you need to invest, or that you just need to start paying down your debts. I want it to be motivational and inspirational for you to start taking those actions and making your own strides and building your own net worth. Because ultimately, once you start doing that, the freedom to create, the freedom to build, the freedom to grow your own business just becomes endless. And it gets so exciting once all those debts are gone and you can just move forward without having to pay anybody back for anything. It's so freeing. I want to get rid of all the debts in my life. Pause it. I want to get rid of all the debts in my life so that I can provide a future for these guys. She just woke up. Ultimately, what it's all about at the end of the day is providing a future for these guys, giving them opportunities to pursue the things they want to do as well, sustaining them in their growth as they want to pursue their own passions and their own life goals. So that's why I want to build my net worth, and I hope it's similar to you in growing for yourself and for your loved ones.
I want to feel your face in darkness just beside me. I want to know the silence my life keeps, and morning holds a grace so elegantly perfect, and light is pouring in onto our heads.
And if you like that video, go ahead and hit that like button. That really helps with my channel and promoting this video to more people to hear this message. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or if you want to give any advice. And make sure to subscribe for future content about financial things in the creative world, in the entrepreneurship world, and turn on that bell if you want to know when I post next. And I think we're going to sign out. You want to say bye? Say bye-bye.